So I'm going to talk to you about my biggest fan. And before you say it's you, it can't be. It's my daughter. So she has actually come onto YouTube and watched all my videos, which when she told me this, I was quite shocked because I don't expect a lot of us who have kids out there who do content like this to have their kid watch all their videos. But she gave me consent to share her story. And this actually is going to be very healing for me to talk about. So be forewarned, here's important notes for you to know. So there's talk of the power of touch. As we begin her healing journey, that's really important. There's also some content notes and warnings. If you don't want to hear about mental health issues, suicide, childhood trauma, then move on to something else. Don't watch this video. I will try to keep it pretty basic and just mentions of them, but and no details. But still, if that is too much, I invite you to move on. And I have been really quiet on YouTube, especially. I've been really struggling because my family is going through the biggest and worst crisis that I think any parent could ever imagine, besides like the death of a child. Well, thankfully, I still have my children are alive, but it is still extremely painful. I'm getting a lot of therapy. I am still seeing clients, but it's been very painful to go through. And it's her story again, and she asked me, and she also is open to like an interview. That might work, it might not, we'll see. But for now, I'll share it, and then she can give me feedback and tell me how all the things I said was wrong. More than likely. Okay. So it all begins with her beginning to have more and more mental health things showing up. And she began to isolate. She didn't want any touch from anyone. And, those of you who have me in such high esteem, I value that, but she did not like me. So last year, she hated me. Now, you're probably asking, how old is she? She was 12 years old last year when all of this started coming out. And she had her first suicide attempt. So that landed her in the mental institution for most of the summer. We had very little contact. Again, she hated me. It was just hard. I could feel it. There was just this disconnect. And I, in turn, respected and gave her space. As I do with clients, I do with my own family. If someone says, I don't want to see you or talk to you, I don't want to relate with you, I will respect that. And I don't touch anyone who doesn't want to be touched. So about 6 months after all of that, some time had gone by, she starts to warm up to me, and she reached out to me and wants to see me and wants to talk and begins to warm up. And it's beautiful. Now, I want to also just quickly take us back in time to the beginning when she was first born. At the time I was attached mom, so for me it was very important to hold my babies, to keep them skin to skin. I carried my baby everywhere. Touch was an essential part of child raising. I also breastfed my kids into many, many, many years. I won't give you the number because to some of you, if I say like 3 years, you're like, what? That's forever. It was way longer than that. And of course, I breastfed all my kids. So for me, this kind of like skin on skin, this nurturing maternal connection was an important part of my mothering. And actually a very easy part for me. It was the one thing I knew that I could give that cost nothing, except, well, it does cost a lot, actually. Women, we do this for free out of our love. It has a huge cost, but I was willing to give that, and it was wonderful. So my daughter has this foundation. She has a really strong, the first 9 years, they're incredibly strong around touch. So now we're fast forwarding to she's 13 now, and she's starting to be more open to me and come back around a little bit. And she started to ask me for hugs. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So here was a hug. I would hear things like when she would be with her other parent, like she missed me and she wanted to see me. And these really sweet, again, these words that just drew my heart. And I could really feel like, okay, now is the time to really come into connection. So let's see here. About 3 weeks ago, feels maybe 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, she had her last suicide attempt, which again, for any parents out there, it's terrifying. This would have been her 6th in a year. So this is the 6th time she's been in the hospital. And she wanted me there to be with her. So, of course, I get in the car right away. I'm going to be with my daughter because, I want to, I don't know how many hours it's going to take, but I'm going to sit with her and be with her during this time. And we're talking, there's a lot of really sweet conversation. And then she leans into me and eventually I'm holding her. Well, little did I know that we would be seated there for 7 hours from before 10 o'clock until 5 in the morning. We sat there and waited for her to have her admission into the hospital. And I held her. And this is, again, it comes back to like, what's that thing that mothers know how to, well, I know as a mother know how to do, is I can hold my baby, right? Okay, here it is. And I found myself unable, like I couldn't even try to sleep. You like close your eyes, like it's 3 in the morning and it's 4 in the morning and it's 5 in the morning. And I must be tired. I love sleeping. There's no sleeping. And it was a little bit reminiscent of the times when, babies are really, really little, right? And you're holding your baby and you it didn't matter what time of day or night it was, that baby had a need. I got up, right? I was there. And so now my big baby, my 13-year-old baby had a huge need and I was going to be there. And if it meant holding her, I held her, whatever she needed. So off she gets whisked inside. And I'm reaching out to her during the week. And in about midweek, she tells me, oh my gosh, let me tell you a story. I almost got a shot. And I'm like, a shot? What does that mean? I don't know what these words mean. She's like, so she was having a moment where she's hitting her head against the wall, like banging it. And the pain is intense. I mean, again, the trauma is so great. I get it. Like if you can't self-harm, then you're going to find some way to harm, right? To self-harm, to help with the pain that's going on in the body. She's hitting her head against the wall. She tells me this. And she then says, they got her. There was multiple people on her body trying to restrain her, get her to stop hurting herself. And they threatened her with a sedative. I mean, something like a shot in the butt or something. I don't know. There's like a word for it. And she says, oh, wait, no, stop. Like, I think somehow gets him to stop. And then she says, would you just give me a hug? And she understands there's no hugging in the mental hospital, right? There's no touch. And there's that hug that she gets. Someone does agree to it. And it completely resets her. Somebody that she trusts, somebody that she was close to in her unit, holds her, touches her, hugs her, and resets her. And she's able to continue. And she didn't need the sedative. Real quick pause. How many people out there are using some form of sedative, self-medicating, whatnot, because we just so desperately want to be touched and held that it hurts us so much we need to numb. But if someone could just hug us, could give that to us, we could have a momentary, at least that moment, be healed, or that could just give us something we need. So she shares this story with me and I'm just like, yes, of course, a hug could take care of it. What a sedative could also do potentially and cause harm in a different way, right? Because it has so many consequences. This hug, it has no consequence other than just a moment in time. Okay, so then we fast forward to 2 nights ago. And I hear that she's coughing so much that she's throwing up. And she's been sick all day with this throw up, cough. And she's like, can you come see me? Now it is probably around 8:30 at night. Can you come see me? And I'm like, absolutely. What do you need? What's going on? She's, I just want to see you. I'm like, great. So I show up to where she's staying and she comes out and I'm like, let's sit in the back of the car, right? And I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to like hold her again. Like, I just think this is the key, right? But I also kind of waited out. She brings her bucket because, you know, she's thinking, I'm going to cough and throw up again. Brings a big bucket. Gets in the car. I brought her some groceries, gave them to her. Like peppermint oil. I got her a kombucha, like peppermint oil. Yeah, for nausea, like help you without throwing up, right? Things that might be helpful. And, you know, slowly moving into touch again. So like I touched her arm, asked for permission first, you know, said she wanted to lean into me. There was multiple times when she asked like for an actual like more forward, like front to front hug. So we were like hugging, and it was like she would ask for it, and she, about almost before the time ended, she kind of stopped and reflected and was like, I haven't coughed once this whole time. No coughing. And I'm like, you haven't? Because I didn't know, I mean, I didn't know what this cough was about and didn't see her throw up in any way. And I said, is that why you're throwing up? And she's like, yeah, I'm throwing up because I keep coughing to throw up. And it was just touch. She needed the touch. So I'm on a journey. I just started it a couple days ago around oxytocin and the ways in which that helps with touch and helps heal people. And I'm seeing this in the 13-year-old's body. This touch is the literally the thing that she's noticing in her body that she needs, and she's asking for it and noticing immediate results to whatever symptom she's experiencing, be it anxiety, pain, like body pain, unknown pain, this physiological response of the cough, and then to throw up. The touch is the healing piece, and it's the oxytocin and the power of oxytocin to immediately combat cortisol. So if you or when she is in a stressful situation, our cortisol levels go up like crazy. And the one thing that we can do, it's a hormone, right? Cortisol's a hormone. What we can do to combat cortisol is oxytocin. This is the remedy. And if you didn't know this, go out and find more oxytocin in your life. And it doesn't have to be with touch, which is the beauty of oxytocin. It can be many different ways. But this is the direct remedy to high cortisol. She didn't feel comfortable getting touch from anyone else. I mean, there's other family members, there's, you know, people in her life. It's this, I would believe, it's the established relationship we had from the beginning, where it's almost like a remembrance, a remothering, and I would say in this case, a reparenting of my daughter, and reminding her of who she was when she was little, when that little infant was born and grew those first 5, 6, 7 years, and all this touch. Those years, I planted this important foundation for her so that she can now come back to it to be able to help with the healing. It also makes me wonder if all of this that I do, has never been, I mean, great. If it was serving y'all, great. If you love it, good. I'm happy for it and I'm happy for my clients. But sometimes, like, I'm seeing, what if all of this was for her? I didn't know that she was going to have these mental health issues. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. And what if the touch is the thing that actually helps? And me, and all these almost 8 years of me doing this work, I trained myself and prepared myself to help my own daughter, because she might have something really important to do in this world. And I get to be able to say, like, I helped in her healing. So it's a long road. This is just the beginning. Again, I'm just sharing kind of the beginning piece. And I've been absent from video for a while. Been going through a lot over here. But I'm so curious if the power of touch can pave the way to our healing and to her healing. And if you want a session, I'm here. But also remember, just try to get some oxytocin. Find ways to bring that into your life. And you don't know how to get that? It's a quick Google search. Ask ChatGPT. I'm sure it'll help. Get oxytocin.